that shit happens when you get woken up with some news like that. Sometimes it's just like, well, what's going on, man? I get it. I understand. So I'm sorry.
I was led to believe that the sheriff's office was doing that.
Yeah, that's like it. The mayor actually asked us to come in and do the investigation. The sheriff's office is not doing the investigation.
I'm just gonna shut this.
Yeah, we are. So, here's your guarantee rights. You want to go ahead and read them, and we're going to make sure you sign off on them. We'll sign off on them. If you have any questions about it, let me know.
Okay. I spoke with an attorney earlier, and he told me to ask and find out, has the village solicitor been made aware of this?
Yes,
Okay. And has he signed off on this?
he was the one that requested us.
Okay. Has that been put in writing?
That's what the mayor, between him and the mayor.
Okay. Okay, what's the allegations?
The allegations right now are that there was some improper things done at the scene of the accidental discharge, for one. There's also some allegations of maybe some improper record keeping as well. Some people coming out when they really didn't come out, things like that. So there's some timekeeping issues as well that we've been asked to look into, so we're looking at that as well.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that everything is, like I told Chief Hanzey too, collect the information, pass it on, as long as you guys are truthful. You know, I don't see anything like popping out of here that's crazy or anything, but they asked us to do a proper investigation. So
Do you have a copy of my statement?
yeah, you have a copy of the whole file?
Yeah, I can grab it. Make sure we have everything.
We did grab the statements, and you guys typically do just the use of force instead of any kind of like official report when you have any kind of instance like that. And the only reason I'm asking is we do an actual, like, if we do
Quite
anything
honest
like that,
with
we
you?
do that.
This is the first one I've ever been involved with.
I'm talking about
In my entire career.
Sure. No, I'm talking about any incident at all. Like if it's say for instance, we were the same thing. If we went out and we had an accidental discharge at something that was perceived to be an emergency situation, we would do a full report on it.
Okay, well, I'm not the one doing the report. That chief said he would do that report. That's up to him. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I know I did a statement. There was a use of force form filled out.
Right.
He did a statement. The other officer did a statement. And we had a resident come in and drop a statement off, and I signed off on it as a witness as them turning it in.
Okay.
So, I mean, and outside of that, what's in my statement? I mean,
Sure, we have a copy here.
Do you mind?
it's the same thing.
I want to make sure we have it.
Yeah.
And is this being recorded?
It is.
Okay, can I have a copy of that recording?
I will provide a copy to the mayor.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is, yeah, we have your statement.
So I know I've got the statement here. Can you just run me through while I'm reading it exactly kind of what happened?
Okay, use that to refresh.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we have one right here. So you
no problem.
Oh, hold on.
I probably need to sign this first, don't I?
Sure.
Okay. Is there an allegation or something based on this complaint that I'm being suspected of something?
You are not being suspected of anything at this time, sir.
Because it says here, seeking disciplinary action against me for misconduct.
Right, that's just covering everything. So that if we talk about something, let's say you falsified a document, that's gonna cover you from being, if we uncover that here, that's not gonna be part of a criminal investigation. So whatever we uncover here is not gonna be part of anything.
But could still be used in termination or something like that?
It could be, yeah, it could be used in termination, but it can't be used criminally.
I don't know if you got those. I guess we got cut off.
It did.
Yeah. Let me see if he faxed over that stuff too. Let me check it.
Is your chief available?
He is.
Okay. As number 5, I would request that he sit in on this as well.
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
Absolutely.
You wanna have them sit in?
Yeah.
Grab them real quick. Anything else you want on there?
Subject to dismissal from,
That'd be from your
Employment?
village. Yep.
like I said, I've never been in one of these.
That's okay, it's understandably
This is probably the
apprehensive.
last one, because to be quite honest with you, I'm probably gonna resign my commission, I'm done with law enforcement.
Okay. When you plan on doing that?
Hmm?
When you planning on doing that?
As soon as I find me another job.
Gotcha.
I mean, I've been doing this for so long,
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
How long you been at it?
Well, let's see, my career started in 1983 as a military police officer. And I did 2 years in the military as a police officer. I then got out and went to an academy, and I was with Heath Police Department for about 2.5 years or so.
Mhm.
Then I left there and I went up to Utica. I was up at Utica with Jim Ramsey.
Okay.
Was up there for 4.5 years.
Mhm.
Got out of it for a short time, and I went to Buckeye Lake. I've been
Gotcha.
there since 2001.
Yeah, got some time.
Got some time there too then.
And like I
Okay,
said,
Chief.
in all,
Okay, gotcha.
in all this time, this is the first AD investigation. And like I said, I was led to believe one thing and hear something else, and
What were you led to believe?
I was led to believe the sheriff's office was doing it.
No.
What's today, the 15th?
It is. Yeah.
And the time?
Right now, shoot, here. It is 1:21.
You know, I take that back. There was one other accident or shooting. That was at the range, and I wasn't the firearms instructor.
Yeah, that happens to range quite often, I think. Good place to do it.
Well, there was a shotgun that was supposed to be unloaded. It wasn't unloaded, and
It got unloaded pretty quickly, huh?
yeah.
We've had those two over here. What are you gonna do?
I mean, my statement here pretty much says everything I know.
Sure.
I mean,
And this isn't meant to be very adversarial. I understand that you're on the edge a little bit here, but it's not meant to be adversarial here. You know, we're all cops. You know, you've been doing it a long time. I've been doing this a long time as well. You know, so it's not it's not the first time I've been part of the internal. Not probably won't the last time I'll be a part of the internal as well. But
I'm tired.
I understand.
I'll stick around probably long enough to get vested in the pension plan with police and fire.
How much longer do you have for that?
Another 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
They just switched me over from PERS.
Yeah. To police and fire?
Yep. They screwed up there too.
Yeah.
The state of Ohio, or who our police and fire is actually finding the village. Instead of switching me over when they first put me on full time,
Mm-hmm.
they held it until here in January, from June of last year till January this year.
Wow.
They kept paying me into PERS when it should have been switched over.
Nobody caught that, huh?
Oh, it was caught. They knew all about it.
Wasn't corrected,
Um,
obviously.
yeah, so.
They're just
No.
kind of waiting for him to get it.
It's not gonna be anytime soon, I can tell you that, but
Well, I don't want you to have to, you know, resign because of, you know, the
I
stresses of this, but, you know.
it's a cumulative
Yeah.
effect.
Well, this job can beat you down, that's for sure. No question about that.
I mean, I've seen humanity at its best, and I've seen humanity at its worst.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
When I was in the service, they killed a soldier just for his ID, so they could smuggle a bomb on post. I was at that very same location 2 weeks prior. That could have been me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was at that facility that they tried to blow up.
We've had some close calls out here ourselves, that's for sure.
I've seen a I think she was 12 years old, little girl, who was shot in the head accidentally by her brother. Once again, by a gun that wasn't supposed to be loaded.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty horrible stuff around here, unfortunately.
We're not being recorded right now, are we?
We're being recorded all the time, yeah.
On video
Yeah,
and audio?
yeah, it's both, yeah.
I'm just tired.
Yeah, I get it, I do. Yeah, we'll muddle through all this stuff and we'll get you through it.
Being requested?
Yeah, you chief?
Yeah, Bruce Brooks.
Officer Vermaaten.
Excuse my appearance.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, I spoke over you. What was your name?
Officer Vermaaten.
Vermaaten? Okay.
I realize that your department has been asked to do an internal investigation for the village of Buckeye Lake, and as part of my rights was I could request any person of my choice to sit in on this on my behalf.
Gotcha.
And I realize that your detective's doing the interview. However, as chief, I feel you could remain impartial.
I will. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that you're worried, if you're worried about being impartial, our job is not a side here. We have no side, we have no horse in this race, all right? Our job is to try to find out what happened and what the circumstances were around what happened, okay? All right, so I did read the statement, and you got the statement in front of you. If you want to just go back through and refresh yourself and tell me exactly what happened that night.
On March 10th, me and Chief was down in Lancaster. We was returning from BW3s. We went there and had some wings and some chips and potato wedges, and both had a Diet Mountain Dew. We were on our way back when we were in the area of 4711 Walnut Road, and Chief received a phone call. I wasn't privileged to what the other side of the conversation was. After the phone call was completed, Chief advised me we need to go to 4711 Walnut Road. There's a lady there claiming that there was two gentlemen in her aunt's trailer. One of them had been shot and was bleeding very badly, or something to that effect.
Okay.
He immediately contacted the on-duty officer, which was Steve Ritter. Because we were right there in the area, the chief made a decision to respond to that location.
Okay. Were you guys armed at the time?
I was. I had my off-duty weapon.
Okay. Which was what? Handgun? What kind
Yes,
of
it's a
handgun?
handgun. It's a Walther PPKS.
Okay.
I use it as an off-duty / backup weapon. I am certified with it through my certification because I am the firearms and recertification officer for the lake. I have to seek it elsewhere, and I'm certified through the village of Hebron with one of their officers who is a certified firearms instructor as well.
Awesome. Okay.
We responded. We get there. Immediately, the lady who called the chief is hysterical. There's two men in their aunt's trailer, and the aunt's claiming they broke in, they held her at gunpoint, and so, you know, she managed to get away, but however, one of the other guys apparently had shot this other guy, and he was in her trailer bleeding.
Okay. And you guys didn't see anybody else besides her at that point, right?
The aunt and the niece.
And they were both saying the same thing?
Yes. The aunt was outside, and the niece came up and found her standing out there. The aunt relayed this information apparently to the niece,
Okay, gotcha.
who then in turn called chief.
Gotcha, okay.
We get there, we're the first ones on scene because we were that close. Just a very short distance. We get there. He starts speaking with the aunt and the niece, and I left him to that. That's his part of it. He's the chief, you know. And I'm in the process of checking the residence. Found the front door to be secured. At that time, Officer Ritter arrived on the scene. The I at that time told Chief I was going to go check the backside of the trailer. I vaguely recall hearing him telling Officer Ritter to deploy his rifle because we were uncertain as to what these people inside this trailer may be or may not be armed with.
Okay.
So Officer Ritter deployed his rifle. When I come back around from finding the back door secured as well, I noticed at that time Chief had Officer Ritter's duty weapon, his sidearm.
Okay.
Because at the time he did not have a weapon. The aunt is still persistent, very extremely persistent. This guy is in her house and he's dying, he's bleeding, he's been shot. I'm not sure if the chief or if it was Officer Ritter, but I know one of them had notified the county of the situation. We were given 99 traffic. And because of the severity of the possible injuries and stuff to the gentleman in the trailer, the chief made a decision at that time that we would make entry. Yeah. And I kind of feel we had a duty to act at that point in time, which we did. We did the 3-man entry team with, you know, cover 3 is what I know it as. I was the first one at the door. I forget, somebody unlocked it. I pushed it in, and I immediately went to the right of the door.
Okay.
Chief was second man in. He comes in, because he's, in his hand, he's got the weapon in his left hand. And I'm sure you're aware of his situation with his hand.
Yeah.
So he's got it in his left hand. He goes to the left. He holds the back half of the residence. And then the third guy comes in, which is Officer Ritter, and he covers me as I'm searching the front half of the trailer. I've searched the bedroom, the bathroom, and I'm starting on another room in the front of the trailer. I don't know if it was supposed to be a bedroom, storage room, or what. But as I'm in this room searching the closets and stuff, I hear a shot getting discharged. I immediately hollered, "What was that?" Got no response from anybody. So I very quickly finished searching that room, came back out, and made myself over to where the chief was. Lighting in this trailer was so poor, we were using flashlights. You know, I've got a handheld flashlight, and Officer Ritter had a weapons-mounted flashlight, who was my cover. Chief Hanzey didn't have a flashlight. I come back out, I said, "What was the shot?" And as I'm looking there, I see a counter there. He says, I was holding cover. He says, and I thought someone come up off the floor. Having been told there's 2 men in this trailer, and one of them's already been shot, when he saw what he believed to be a possible threat coming up off the floor, he came from a low ready to a high ready, point to shoot type position. As he came up, in the darkness, there was a countertop there, or like a little bar that come out. And he was standing next to it and didn't even know it was there. That's how dark it was. As he came up to it, his left hand, finger area, whatever is what he tells me, struck that counter, and it caused the weapon to discharge. So, okay, at that point in time, I made the decision, and there with everybody else, to continue clearing the rest of the residence. Once he was okay, I was okay, Officer Ritter was okay, we cleared the rest of the trailer. Upon clearing the trailer, I announced that it was clear, and I came back to where the chief was still at, in his cover position, in case there was somebody else that we may have missed in the trailer. And he explained to me once again what had happened, and I could see it happening. I mean, it was an accident. So, we're looking around, we're trying to determine where this round impacted. And the most we can figure is because of the angle of him being at the low ready, as he was coming up, like this, the round discharged into the floor. Because of the carpeting on the floor, I searched and searched and searched and couldn't find a bullet hole or anything like that. Basically, the carpet swallowed the hole back up, in my opinion, to where it couldn't be found. The only way you're going to find that hole is to go in there and remove these people's carpeting. So, Chief Hanzey directed me to pick up the casing off the floor. I've done so. I've secured that casing. It's logged as evidence in my custody. You know, I've yet to have anybody ask me for that cartridge, from the chief to the mayor or to you guys. You know, but it's just a spent casing. But I have it.
Okay.
The lady who resided in a trailer, her son, who was her caretaker, shows up shortly after that. And it's explained to him, you know, about the incident with his mother. He says, my mother suffers from the extreme onset of dementia. We didn't know this
Sure.
at the time we made entry. Yeah. Would that have played a factor in it? Most definitely. But we didn't have that information at the time. It was also explained to him about the accidental discharge in the residence. And the gentleman's exact words were, and I believe you said it, shit happens. That was his. He says, was anybody hurt? He was informed, no one was hurt. That the round impacted the floor somewhere and we couldn't find it. And to my knowledge, if I recall, he said he was fine with that. But he said he realized that, once again, shit happens in situations like that. That he was just glad that there wasn't somebody in there laying on his mother's floor dying.
Sure.
We left there, we went to the office, picked up a use of force form. Chief did his statement up, and I assisted him because of his hand. I mean, he signed it, of course, but you know, he read it. And Officer Ritter went to the office and wrote his up and submitted it as well. And I think it's pretty much in line with mine and the chief's.
That did you and the chief write yours together?
No. He told me what to put on his.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm typing it up because, like I said, he's still recovering from his surgery. And he signed it. And that's why it's on the same format. I wrote mine up the next day. And I submitted it. And that was pretty much it.
Was there any other officers on the scene over there?
I believe Officer Oliver from Hebron showed up after the fact.
Okay.
By the time he had arrived, we'd already made the entry and had searched the residence.
Okay. All right. And I was told that there was some discussion about not telling anybody about this incident.
Chief Hanzey simply stated, do not say anything to Hebron to keep the integrity of any investigation intact.
Okay.
Officer Oliver had no part in it. Officer Oliver had no reason to be, you know, brought into it.
Okay.
To me, that made perfect sense.
Okay. And you know if Hanzey called the mayor or anything that night? To
He tried to call her several times.
Okay.
At least 3 times that I'm aware of, to inform her of the situation.
She never answered the phone?
Well, she never answered the phone then. However, she called Officer Ritter
Okay.
and says, Chief Hanzey's been trying to call me.
Okay.
Do you know what this is about? At that time, he was on another call and advised her of such, to the best of my knowledge, is what he's, this is all hearsay.
Sure.
I don't know what steps or how it happened, but he then came to the chief's house and said, hey, Peggy's trying to get a hold of me, wants to know what you wanted. They called her on the PD phone, I believe, and he spoke with her at that time and advised her of what had occurred.
Okay.
I mean, so, there was no attempt on his part, my part, or Officer Ritter's part to deceive or conceal it from her. But, like I said, as soon as possible, attempts were made to contact her.
Okay. do you know if Chief Hanzey was he on duty or was he returning? I know was off with his finger. Do you know if he was cleared to come to work yet?
I knew that he had a return to work slip from his doctor, the orthopedic surgeon who had done the work on his hand.
Yeah. Do you know when it was dated for or anything? Was it that day?
I
or?
don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly couldn't tell you, but
Okay.
I know he had it.
All right.
And I know based on a conversation that I only heard the one side of, the mayor was informed of that, and she was told that, it would, she would have it on, I don't remember the time or the date or anything, but she was informed that she would get it, and he also requested that her response to that be placed in writing and given to him as well.
Okay.
But outside of that, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. All right. All right. So as far as that goes, like I said, that's what we're getting. So we'll keep investigating that part of it, just as the internal goes. I mean, it looks like everybody's kind of on the same page, I think, with that. However, we have gotten some information about time cards.
Time card?
Yeah, about going out there and shift logs and putting in for time that wasn't right. So,
I don't know anything about that.
have you ever put in for any time, or do you know if Chief Hanzey's ever put in for any time for you when you didn't actually go out there and work?
No.
Have you ever worked without, or have you ever not worked and put in time?
No.
All right, because we've got a year's worth of logs to look through, and we've got some other people to talk to as well that are saying, yeah, this stuff is falsified.
I write my hours down, I sign it. Where it goes from there, it goes to the clerk. What happens between the time I'm done with it till the time it gets there, that's beyond me.
The chief actually signs off on your time, though, right?
If he's available, yes, I do believe.
Okay. Who signs off on it when he's not available?
I believe they get turned in unsigned.
Okay. And do you know what those look like, the hourly logs?
For the payroll?
Yeah, for the payroll?
Yes.
Okay. You do a log sheet every time you're out on patrol? And you turn that in, right?
It's in file box and gets filed with the monthly log sheets and everything.
Okay. And those are kept in like big middle envelopes, but
God,
right, like a
they
big
get
old...
put into an envelope and sent off to Never Never Land as far as I know.
Right, I understand. All right, but as far as your knowledge goes, though, you've never gone out there or been credited for work that you didn't do?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. All right. And I understand, that this isn't coming from one person. This is coming from several people that says this stuff is going on. So, if it is going on, again, let us know now because we want to.
Well, for example, for
this past-
this past Monday, I took the cruiser and had taken it to Jay's.
Uh-huh.
I put down 2 hours because it's always been a standard practice that whether you're there 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, you automatically get credit for 2 hours for your time.
Okay.
I put that down and claimed it as PTO time.
I gotcha. So even if you got it for 10 minutes, you're still going to put down 2 hours because that's the
That's
standard
been the
protocol.
practice, and it's been that way since 2001 when I started there.
Sure. But past practices have never been to put down hours that you didn't actually work or that you didn't actually come in and do something, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, this is the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
What about any auxiliary units?
Auxiliary units, when I first started there, they would log their times, but now, I mean, we're so man poor right now. In fact, we just hired an officer to only lose him to Hebron because they hired him full time.
Yeah. We know that feeling.
So, I mean,
Okay.
So are the auxiliary units supposed to log their own time, or does somebody on
well,
one of you guys?
I
do it?
usually put them on my log sheet if I remember. I'll put them above my name or whatever and go that route. And the last one who done that was Officer Thompson. Like I said, his last day was Wednesday or Thursday, because,
He's the Hebron one.
yeah.
Okay.
So is Chief Hanzey is solely responsible for keeping those logs in?
I would say actually the officer the auxiliary is the one responsible to show that they're getting credit for their, their 16 hours that they're required.
Right. And does somebody have to sign off on the accuracy of those though?
It's never been done to the best of my knowledge.
Gotcha.
It's just kind of been a honor system type thing, I think.
How many auxiliaries do you have?
I have the roster actually. Yeah, there are quite a few.
Yeah, there's your roster.
Let's see if that's current or not.
Tyler's not there anymore. Dory's off on maternity leave, I think. Officer Bartow, the mayor ordered him to no longer be allowed to ride in a cruiser or to go on any calls or anything like that.
What is that?
Jim Bartow, you familiar with the name?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't
He
think I
was
know.
he was with the police department in Kirkersville for a while. He was also the village of Buckeye Lake's mayor. And then he came out and he got on our department after he was no longer mayor. And he's been there for quite some time.
Oh, so she's his replacement?
About 3 or 4 people down the line.
okay. Gotcha.
It was Mayor Bartow, Mayor Foster, Mayor Baker, and Mayor Carroll, and now Mayor Wells.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
So you guys are running through mayors, huh?
this has been since 2001. Your mayor typically holds office, I think it's 4 years out there.
Yeah.
But there's also some history there, I understand, between them two.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but rumor has it, Mr. Bartow sued Peggy Wells prior to being mayor.
Gotcha.
He also sued Charlie Prince, the owner and editor of the Buckeye Lake Beacon. It did not go favorably on Mayor Wells's side on that.
So is there a rift between you guys or?
Mayor Wells, prior to becoming mayor, back when I first got on out there, organized a group of people that tried to do away with the police department.
In the news, right? I remember that.
Yeah.
That could cause some
So,
dissension.
the residents of the village of Buckeye Lake got together and changed the form of government so as the police department couldn't be done away with.
Gotcha. So as long as you guys have a police chief, you're a police department. Gotcha.
Then she turned her attention towards our fire department. She has tried to do away with the fire department. She wants to go with Union Township or somebody to cover the village for EMS and fire. Part of her election things is she was not trying to get rid of the police department. She was not trying to get rid of the fire department. From what I understand, I think either this last pay period or the period before that, she withheld the fire chief's paycheck until like 7 o'clock that night. I came out in council. When everybody else gets theirs and it's made available by deposits through their accounts and stuff at 12:01
Right.
in the morning. She held it, from what I'm led to believe, and don't quote me on this, but she held that chief's check until 7 o'clock that evening. For someone who stated in their campaign that they're not trying to get rid of the police department or the fire department, it's sure looking.
Sure seem that way, huh?
You know,
You had questions, Ted?
Okay, did you have some?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna go back to the actual incident. Have you guys ever been to this residence before?
I have it.
You have it? Do you know if...
Well, no, I
Chief
take that
James-
back. I have.
Okay.
But it was because a dog had got loose, and I was trying to help animal control Tyler catch the dog. It was a German Shepherd, and I didn't even see the dog there that night.
Okay. Do you know if Chief Hanzey has been at that residence before?
I do not.
Alright. And do you know, it sounds like the caller called Chief Hanzey? Hanzey, is that correct? He received the call?
I don't know, like I said, this was brought in,
Yeah.
and I was asked to sign off on it as a witness being dropped off.
Okay.
You were in the car when he received the call though, right?
Yes.
And he received a call on his cell phone
On his cell
from
phone.
this resident or the resident's or niece, correct?
From this woman here,
It
Darlene
is from
Sue.
this woman? Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't have told you what her name was.
So obviously this woman knows how to get a hold of Chief Hanzey
Okay.
by cell phone.
How many residents you know here in the city of Pataska that have your number and can call you directly?
About a dozen or so.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, with Buckeye Lake being smaller,
Yeah, sure.
Chief Hanzey grew up in the Buckeye Lake area.
Oh, yeah,
And
he's
everybody
been
knows
there
him.
for years.
I mean, you guys probably know him.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you know,
Yeah.
and he's got calls from residents saying, hey, can you tell Vermaaten to speed up? We're behind him, he's going too slow.
Right.
Um,
Which, how long did it take from you guys before you got the phone call till you arrived on scene?
From the time we got the phone call, we were right there on 79 in the area, close to Hilton. And you turn on Hilton, you go into the trailer park, and you're right there.
So you didn't
It
have
was
time
less
to call to call dispatch and tell them you were out there?
Well,
Until,
once we got there, like I said, he was actually talking to Darlene and the aunt, and I could hear the aunt saying, the guy's in my trailer, he's bleeding, he's been shot, he's dying.
who called Ritter?
Chief Hanzey.
Okay, so he got off the phone then and called Ritter, not dispatch. He called
To
the other
get-
officer.
The other officer to get him there.
Okay, then that officer, assuming that officer called dispatch.
I don't know if it was
Radio.
the chief or if it was Ritter that called dispatch, but I know someone had called dispatch and they had gave us 99 traffic.
Gotcha.
Because if you go back and pull their radio logs,
Yeah.
you want to hear that.
Got it.
But because of the imminent danger to someone's life, we made the decision to enter the residence.
Sure.
Outside of that, I mean,
Did you guys go in with any police identifiers besides the one uniformed officer?
as we entered and I started searching, I identified myself as the police. Show me your hands if you're in the trailer. Show me your hands, police.
Okay. But you guys, both you and Hanzey are in civilian clothes, 'cause you
Yeah.
just came from B-Dubs.
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Did you have any vests or anything on? Nothing? Okay.
No, I don't normally wear that to be W3s.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys
I-
Some guys
stuff.
keep in their cars for some
Just-
odd reason.
Well,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the only other, and it didn't come out, is I have a badge and my ID with me at all times.
Okay, there we go.
So that if someone asks me for identification, I can identify myself.
Okay, alright.
But most generally, in all the circumstances I've ever seen or been in, when you're in a situation like that, you don't take the time to stop and take your wallet out and say, hey,
Yeah, not like that. I
um,
can't disagree with you there.
for example, you're wearing yours around your neck. How many times have you ever been in an incident that after it was all done, you went, oh crap, and pulled your badge out?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I know you guys have some problem childs up here, so.
yeah.
Is it a trailer park or something?
Not here.
Yeah, we got
I think it's Buena Vista or something like that.
We've got plenty of
Yeah,
problem
we-
areas
we do.
there.
You know, so, you know, when you're in the middle of doing something and your adrenaline's up there and, you know, I mean,
Sure.
to be quite honest, the cover 3, with the exception of the accidental discharge, went off flawlessly.
But you guys went in together then, right?
I was first officer through the door, Chief Hanley was behind me, Officer Ritter was behind him.
Did you hear the chief ask for the gun? Because you guys were right in the same area,
Well,
right?
when I went to check the back door is when I heard him tell Officer Ritter to, you know,
I got
deploy
you.
your duty weapon.
Uh-huh.
I'm around there, and when I come back, Officer Ritter's got his rifle, and Chief Hanzey had his Officer
I
Ritter's
see.
duty weapon.
Okay, and then that's when you guys went in the front door together at that point?
Exactly, shortly thereafter.
Okay.
What is Ritter's duty weapon?
It's the same weapon, make, model, caliber as Chief Hanzey's. It's a Glock. I'm not sure what the model number on it is, as I'm not a Glock fan.
Sure. Me either.
Yeah.
I prefer 6 hour.
Me too.
Kind of everybody here then.
Is it 9 or 45 or 40?
Mine?
The
Oh, it's a 40.
the gun that went off.
A 40.
Okay.
It's got the safety in the trigger, I guess. I'm not familiar with it all that much, because like I said, I don't carry it.
And everybody's rifle certified and,
Officer Ritter certified, I'm certified, Chief certified. I don't know if we got anybody that's not been.
okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and Ritter had the card name, correct? Is that what I was
Yes.
reading? Okay.
Like I said, my flashlight was actually, it was Officer Ritter's handheld flashlight, and he utilized his flashlight on the, that was attached to his rifle.
What time of day was this again?
It was at night, it was dark, I mean, this trailer was pitch dark inside.
Okay.
And like I said, from what Chief said, is when he thought he saw somebody coming up off the floor, he was coming from a low ready, I call it the high ready, you know, defense mode. And as he was coming up is when his hand hit the counter, which could happen to anybody.
Good. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's unfortunate, but things happen like that when, you know, you're in a scene, it's dark, we completely get it, you know, and again, I know, you know, when we first started this, I don't want to be adversarial at all. The best thing we can do is talk to everybody as much as we can and find out all the facts, everything, because then once it comes out, as you know, you can go, hey, this is it, nothing's here, you know, this is all good. And that's always the goal, you know, is to make sure that everybody's on the up and up, everything's truthful, everything's done and dealt with.
And like I said, my statement is about, you know, dead on and accurate as you're going to get, I mean.
Yes, good statement.
I'm actually our firearms instructor, requalification officer for the department, so, I mean.
When do you guys typically do quals?
In the later part of the year.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's like,
Apparently when it's cold.
As long as it's snowing, we'll do it.
well, and here's my theory on that, is firearms instructor, recall officer. If it's snowing that day, it's snowing that day. If it's raining, it's raining. When I took my instructor's course, it not only snowed, it rained. It was hot, it was sunny. Because I took the one part first and then I took the second part.
Yeah.
So I experienced it all.
Yeah, if you could shoot in there, you could shoot in broad,
And-
a nice day.
And my theory is you're never going to be able to predict what your weather's going to be.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
want you to be able to shoot in any kind of weather because your life's going to depend on it.
Yeah, we used to follow this, if it's not raining, we ain't training kind of thing, so.
You know,
It had to rain, I think,
And-
especially back then.
and like I said, my theory is you're going to train in whatever the weather is because you never know what your weather's going to be out there.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And it's the same way with the interior. We don't have a budget to just go out to the range and shoot whenever or whatever, or get training in. For years, I would ask about funding available for different things, and I was always told the money's not there.
Pretty common, trust me.
Um,
Doesn't matter how big or little you are, the money seems to never be there, so.
I've watched this department go from 7 or 8 full-time officers down to 2, with 2 part-timers. When I started out there was Chief Small, Jimmy Hanzey, Jimmy's wife Judy, who left, Jeff Lloyd, Bruce Edwards, and they had a couple other ones that were full-time, I can't remember their names. But now, like I said, we're down to 2 people full-time and 2 people part-time. And all of our auxiliary pretty much have other full-time jobs. So,
No. Okay, well, I think I've kind of got everything I need. You got any other questions, man, at all?
And the only other thing I'm thinking about is as far as his injury, you knew it, he had the amputation.
yeah,
Did he mention anything about work correlating with his amputation, about he's not coming back for a while, or he's gonna be
Well,
off?
I knew, like I said, only one side of the conversation.
Right.
You know, he explained to the mayor that he had a return to work slip
Mm-hmm.
for light duty or whatever. And that it was signed off on by the orthopedic surgeon who had done the surgery on his hand.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you, light duty?
Light duties, clerical paperwork or whatever. It just, you know, could be anything really. I mean, so as long as you're not out doing something extraneous or whatever.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I mean, not
Because we
out-
don't have light duty.
Oh, okay. We had a gentleman on our street department, had the tip of one of his fingers amputated while he was doing something with a backhoe and tractor, you know, from bucket loader. And it literally pinched the end of his finger off.
Ouch.
And they gave him light duty. So,
Good, anything else?
I don't know.
You have any questions?
we had a time frame on when this will be done.
Soon. I can't say when, soon. I'll try to wrap it up as soon as
Well,
possible.
like I said, I was kind of led to believe, because I was told pull a copy of everything, put it in a packet for Mike Collins from the sheriff's office, detective.
Yeah, there was some miscommunication there between the mayor and the chief,
Okay.
is what happened there, so.
Okay, so, and that's why I said, that's what led to my confusion.
Right,
Um,
yeah, they're not actually doing the investigation, we are.
And, well, they'll do criminal.
Yeah,
And I figure if she gets to see this video, which I'm sure she's gonna ask for, well, I'm probably gonna be a target on her radar now. Since June, when I became full-time, I was told, you live in the village, you can take a cruiser home. I was informed last night, I no longer have a take-home car. I had to figure out how to get from the office back to where I reside at.
she's new mayor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've gone through it too. New mayors come in, they wanna change
Did,
things.
did your new mayor commit malfeasance within the first 30 or so days?
That's what I recall.
I sure hope not.
When you use village funds, village equipment, village employees to go and plow private streets without authorization from council, it kind of falls under malfeasance. That needs to be investigated, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, you should bring up if you feel that way.
As a
Not,
resident,
not in here, but as a
as
resident.
a resident of
Right.
Buckeye, in fact,
Absolutely.
at the last council meeting, council voted and mandated she had to pay it back.
Sounds like it was brought up then.
Yeah.
But not to the auditor's office, who is the one who I believe needs to do the investigation.
Yeah.
Well,
Free country, anybody can call the auditor's office, so
I know,
that's,
but-
you know. Anyone can call it anonymously, they don't care who it is.
So like I said, I'm pretty sure that once this is done, I'll become a target. And that's all there is to it.
You know,
Politics are never fun.
No,
Ever.
they're not,
As long as you're doing the right thing, it doesn't matter if you have a target.
I mean-
So.
exactly.
but unfortunately, it feels like even though you do the right thing, somebody's out there still trying to find fault with it.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to stand up on top of the
Yeah.
rock and say,
But
okay.
you know what, I'll tell you what, this is the forum though that helps you, because if you're doing the right thing, this just confirms it. I've been accused of doing wrongdoing before, quite a few times, but, you know, things have been investigated and found out that it was all bull. And, you know, it exonerates me, makes me, you know, feel like, okay, an investigation was done, that's even better than just assuming that it's done.
As I told you though, I'm tired.
I get it.
I'm done with it. And like I said, as soon as I can get my pension investment done and I can find something else, I'm retired from law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I hear you, man.
It wears on you, it does.
I mean, I've been there, I've seen too many things, I've experienced too many things in this life. It's time to let someone else do it.
Absolutely. Time to stop thinking about work and stop thinking about the stresses and the pressures the job puts on you and the city, the village, whatever, you know, I mean, it comes from every direction, so it's nice to get away and not think about it for a little bit. Even if it's just to get away for temporarily, not think about it, try that. Don't stress yourself out too much more, because stresses are gonna come every day once you get home. You know, try to leave it there as best you can do. Okay,
How's Jimmy doing,
I
by
think-
the way?
Taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
And I did speak with a couple of attorneys prior to coming here. They're the ones that advised me to ask if the village solicitor had been made aware of this.
Sure.
And if he had signed off on it. So, and like I said, I've never been involved in one of these, so I didn't know what to expect,
Absolutely. Everybody's apprehensive, man. Everybody.
So,
I've been sitting in your same chair. I think we all have at some point in our careers, if we've done it long enough. So, it's nothing to be apprehensive about. This job is, as long as you're doing right, doesn't matter what anybody says about you. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it.
it.
you guys hired?
Not right
No,
now.
we're not. Hopefully someday.
As I said, I've got the experience. I'm a certified firearms requalification officer.
Or you could,
Maybe a year, maybe not this year, but next year.
you remember how you said they don't hire people, and they, you go from needing a lot more guys. We're in the same boat. We're just, just
We have the same numbers now that we did back in
98.
98.
Who was your assistant chief in 2001?
Roy Nichols.
Yep. I was trying to think his name. He did my refresher class up at Eastland Career Center.
Yeah, I know he used to be an instructor up there.
Yep.
Actually, like
For
almost,
firearms.
maybe an assistant commander or something.
No, he did firearms, and he did a little bit of the
Driving?
PhD stuff. And
I had him for firearms.
Okay.
Because that's why I went through the academy in 2001. That academy.
Yeah,
I did the refresher.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's retired.
Yes, he is. He's doing his own thing, and couldn't retire soon enough.
but yeah, like I said, I was there for timesheets. I put down what I worked. There's hours there that,
Well, that's
may not have a log sheet with it, but it was because I did stuff at the office or whatever.
Right.
So I come in one day and helped try to organize the property room,
yeah. And that's what I want to try to get out. I wanted to try to get out here because if it comes back in an internal investigation under Garrity, you may get fired for it. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna get indicted for it. But if it doesn't, and then let's say the sheriff's office comes in and does a criminal investigation, they find out about it, through that, then they're gonna come after everybody they can, and then they're gonna talk about getting fired and indicted. So, it's just an opportunity to try to get it all out in the open and say, hey, if you did it, you did it. You know what I mean?
As I said, I put my hours down, I work. Once it leaves my hands, there's 2 or 3 other people that handle it after I do. What they do with it, I don't know.
Yeah, but you've never heard of them doing anything with it?
No.
It's fishy or anything else like that?
No.
Okay.
I know that when people fill their timesheet out, they just recently went with a new timesheet here not too long ago.
Yeah.
Well, within about the last year or so. And a lot of people really don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So there probably could be some corrections made on one or whatever. But that's just like me, I had to ask because, like I said, Monday I came out to do the cruiser deal. I put down from 10 to noon or whatever for the 2-hour period that I'm allotted.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in basically hours or something, a column over here. But then in the final column, I didn't claim it because I claimed it down at the bottom for PTO time,
Gotcha.
comp time.
Right.
And it's the first time I've ever had to do it that way. And I actually had to ask the clerk if I'd done it right.
Yeah.
So,
You guys are 16 hours a month is your auxiliaries requirements, right?
yes.
Okay. And do you know if you see them on a 16-hour a month basis?
I don't pay any attention to them. I do my job and that's all I do.
Gotcha.
I know we got officers that come out and ride with Officer Ritter. We got officers that come out and ride with Officer Haas. Tyler Thompson, he was coming out and riding with me because I'm supposed to be the field training officer. But because I work through the week, all these other people that are auxiliary work through the week as well.
Right,
Their
their regular
days
jobs.
off are weekends. So I don't see them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you get your days off, the last thing you guys want to hear about is something going on here.
You are not kidding.
So,
No doubt about that. I wanna get away from here and not think about this place at all, so.
and that's the whole reason why I bought an ATV.
There you go.
I can go down in the middle of the Wayne National Forest and know that there's not gonna be a cell signal.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, and nobody will bother you.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, Jeffrey, thanks, man, I appreciate you coming in.
And like I said, I apologize for coming off way this morning, I did, but
It's okay,
you woke me up and
I understand, we caught you off guard and everything.
you almost were going to be told no because the VA called me to schedule an appointment for an ultrasound.
Yeah,
And they asked me about coming in today, and I don't know how many times I have to reiterate to them that my only time off, because I can't miss work, I need the money, I need to pay, is Mondays. Because that's the only time they're open up there is on Mondays that I'm off.
yeah,
And they're like, can you come in today? I'm like, no, I'm scheduled to work today.
right.
Um,
It's always the most inopportune time.
so,
Okay, well, I'm gonna get all this paperwork together again. I appreciate it, man. Be safe out there tonight. You working the shift, right?
yeah, I'm supposed to be at work now.
Yeah.